Welcome back, everybody. My name is Gecko Lacau, and this is Man Bites Retro. And what we do here, every week there's a new voice that brings forward their favorite person in film history, and we present that voice to you. So please stay tuned for the show. Welcome back, everybody, and this week we are going to be talking about Beast of the Southern Wild. This is a film that takes place in Louisiana, but not the normal film of Louisiana. This is the bayou. This is the bed. I mean, this is the bathtub, and this is basically one of the most interesting, grimiest, darkest films that you'll ever see that's shot in the point of view of a child. And for this week, I have Zach Walsh with me. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Zach.
Hi, everybody. I'm Zach. I'm a DC area filmmaker, actor, writer, person. I'm currently finishing up work on my first feature-length film, which is really exciting.
Yes, it is.
Yes, Prosperity Creek. I've been working on it for a really long time and recognize that post-production is a very long process, and I will continue to work on it for a very long time. But it's moving forward, so that's super cool.
That's amazing. Or any websites or any social media accounts that they could check you out at?
Short of my personal Facebook page, which you are more than welcome to find me at, I do have a Twitter, Zach Tweets Now, which I will be more active using. That is, I work for a theater company, Anystage Theater, anystagetheater.com. They do a lot of great work. They have a lot of upcoming stuff, so if you're in the DC area, that is something to pursue, as is St. Mark's production of Gypsy, which I am also in because I act as well as film things. So there you go. The area people and everyone else, travel here.
Or wait for Prosperity Creek and check it out when it comes out to you.
Most certainly.
Yes, we're excited about this project that you're working on. It is a fantastic project.
Thank you very much.
As underwhelming as you threw it out there, it is an amazing project. And it's definitely something that you got to keep an eye out for. We'll be linking it on the actual Man Bites film page. Anything that he has will be posted up on there as soon as it's announced. We'll be pushing it out as well as Diversely Geek. So please keep an eye out for it, and you'll start seeing this pretty awesome comedy that he put together, and we'll see where it goes, you know?
Thank you very much.
But now let's talk about Beast of the Southern Wild.
Yes!
What brought you into this movie? Why did you jump on the opportunity to talk about this film in particular?
I saw this movie. This movie came out in the summer of 2013, correct?
2012.
2012. Oh,
yeah.
Man. Yeah,
I know, right?
I saw this, the tiny little hole-in-the-wall art house theater by me. They picked this up, and I heard about it. I heard, like, the lead girl is incredible, and she's so young.
Hush Puppy.
Based on, like, this acclaimed one-act play that I'd heard of before, and, like, there was so much stuff about it. So I went in with my father, and we saw it, and we were floored. Just absolutely knocked out by just about every aspect of this movie and the way that it tackles so many of the issues in ways that are it's not like if you were to describe the plot of this movie to someone, they'd be like, oh, okay, here comes some like sad porn awards bait type stuff. And it's like, no, this is not, this movie does not want your pity. This movie, it's legitimately like heartfelt and hopeful, and like I remember then like months later sitting and watching the Oscars nominations come out, and the first one that was up for it, which was like screenplay or something, calling over my father and being like, "Oh my god, remember that thing that we saw in July? It just got nominated. That little movie." And then like we sat down because we were so excited, and then it was nominated for like 6 more things, including like picture and director and actress, and we were like, the world is a wonderful place. This
Right.
is just
It really, like, it snuck up on people, and people were like, say what is this?
right?
And I remember it was the same thing. It was the same experience. I watched it at an art house movie, and I was like, oh my god, this little girl is so phenomenal. And the storytelling style that is actually in the point of view of the child,
Right.
and not done in the cheesy, like, oh, it's just a camera, it's going to follow the little girl around. No, it's actually shot through the imaginative eye of an innocent child.
Yes.
And how she captures these moments in her life, and how she twists things, and things are seen mistakenly and they're not real, and
Right,
oh,
yeah.
that imagination in it.
And that's such a brilliant perspective to use to talk about such heavy subject matter.
Exactly.
Like and oh my god, is Quvenzhané Wallis amazing?
Oh, yes.
It's one of those things where, like, because I do, like I said, I do act, and like as an actor watching it, I'm like, oh cool, I'll never be that good, and she's 5. Like it is awe-inspiring. I don't know.
She has this
And of course,
range
like,
about her that she plays
right?
it down so easily.
And I mean, obviously, when we're talking about a performance from someone, from like an artist that young, you then need to also give credit to like the director and like the team that was able to like bring out something that great, which is why everybody was nominated. Like it's like
Yeah.
this movie is incredible.
It really is, and it explores a dark subject. People
Oh yeah.
overlook this section of society that I didn't even know that it existed before. I was like, say what? They live where? They
Mm-hmm.
live in a bathtub? And then when I started researching, I was like, oh, it's the bayou. I didn't know people lived there because they're so poor that they can't afford anywhere else. So it's basically like a gypsy nation.
Right, yeah. But like, and the opening, it's basically like
Oh, the
short
opening
film
dialogue.
before the title, where through the eyes of this little girl and through her words, she explains and introduces you to a community like that, and says like, but we don't want what those other people have. Like those people up on the other side of the levee, they have like all these fancy cars or whatever. We don't need that, because here and then she goes on to how her world is so great, and then we just stay in her world, and it's like, yes, okay. Like it's not exploitative
No,
in
at
the
all.
way that it talks about communities like that. Like it's actually it's yeah
It shows the grittiness, it shows the darkness, it shows the real deep root that the society goes into, and
yeah.
how far it falls. But the way that this child approaches it is super fascinating, and this is what makes the film so amazing, is that it tackles the subject as dark as it is and as exploitative that you could think it could go, and
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't take that route. It goes in this kind of majestic way that she loves the poorness, she
Yeah.
loves how simple life is, and it makes you appreciate that lifestyle so much more. And you're like, huh, it makes you question everything that you ever thought. And like, how about if we did go back to that? If we went back to our roots and we did something like that?
Yeah, it really does, without being hostile. It puts privilege into check.
Yeah. And
And
that takes a lot
yeah.
in modern society. That really takes a lot. And I think that's where it connected with the Academy Awards,
Mm-hmm.
and that it got so much praise, was besides the phenomenal and just stellar acting that this film does, it captures a very deep understanding of the Deep South and how different society is,
Mm-hmm.
and where it could go if we don't leave if we keep going down the route that we're going and
Yeah,
we lose ourselves even further.
yeah, because it's really like an incredibly harrowing look at like disenfranchisement, or
Yes.
more like the process through which disenfranchisement happens, um because like the way that they talk about how the storm will come and we'll just die, and everyone on the other side of this wall will keep going and we'll just die, and that's how they've designed it. Like the way like that the way that they explain it that way, putting it into those words, it's so like, oh god, oh yeah, no, that we totally did do that, we did that, oh god, that's how it happened.
Yeah.
Like we completely forgot about an entire section of the population, and just we're like, cool, poor people would be poor people, bye. Like that.
Yeah.
And that's horrifying.
Yeah. And
And this movie demonstrated that in
it really does.
I love this movie.
It's and that's the thing of the great thing about film, first of all, and one of the reasons that I like to highlight movies like this in particular is because it's this type of impact. The fact that you're so emotional about a movie like this,
Hmm.
and you kind of connect with it and you
Yeah,
bring that conversation out, and it's the same reason that we have this open dialogue about everything, even the bad issues, the issues that nobody wants to talk about. You have to talk about it, you have to discuss it, and you have to debate it, because if
hmm,
not, nobody is going to be aware of the issues that exist.
right.
And this movie does that in a way that doesn't hit you over the head. I don't care what party you're part of. I don't care what you're associated with, what your beliefs are. You're going to take something away from this movie, and it will possibly change your mind.
Yeah, nothing's going to be spoon-fed to you. They're not interested in jumping on a soapbox and espousing anything. They just show you a life and a lifestyle and a fraction of our country, a fraction of the world, like it's one small piece of a very big universe. Like
Yeah.
it, yeah,
And film has been very like in tune with this since the beginning of time, with Sullivan Travels and all these other films that kind of go into the seedier part of society, and the part that's under underdeveloped and overlooked a lot of times.
yeah,
And this film personifies that to its extreme. We had Sullivan Travels in the 50s and 60s that kind of brought that to light, to the glamour that was Hollywood before, and this does the same thing. It kind of challenges the status quo and say, look, things are not all beautiful and bright and sunny, and it's not what do you call it, Roger Rabbit style thing. It's nothing like that. This is not Cartoon Land anymore, and this is not Toontown anymore. This is real life. We're going
but
into the grime that is.
but what's extraordinary is that through the eyes of a little girl, it's presented as if it still is. She's not beaten down by the weight of this grit and this grime and this poverty.
Nope.
She's still like, she explores, she loves, she imagines, it is the same, because that's universal. And since at that age it all is universal, that's how they're able to get you into this community, is by like we all once had that worldview. Oh, okay. Like you know, um and it is frustrating at times. There are definitely certain aspects of the movie where you as an adult watching it want more of the information that's being withheld from her, or like you want to see the things that she's being shielded from. But it's also so fascinating what they do with the camera to keep you stuck in her confines of not having the details of what's happening to her father, and not having the details of what the storm is, or not. Like it's actually, they really effectively show you a child's vantage point.
Yeah. And done in a way that it's subtle, and
Yeah.
it's done literally how you feel like a child.
Yeah,
But
it's not like Rugrats
yeah,
style fantastic. It's a very like oh god, what and then every English and theater teacher that I've ever had kills himself because I can't think of the literary device. Oh god, give me 1 second. I'm gonna okay, magical realism?
yes,
Yes. Like it has that type of um it just like a slight it is predominantly grounded in a dark reality, but it has this like undercurrent
fantastical element.
of yes of fantasy. um are we allowed to go into
Spoilers 100%. Yes, this is a full
absolutely.
discussion. Yeah.
So in going back to 2012, the summer of 2012, in seeing it with my father is a Latin teacher, and
Nice.
he Latin, Greek myths and mythology and stuff like that. So I toward the end, when she leaves with all the kids, when they run away and they get on the boat, like when it starts getting more like dreamlike,
Yeah.
I remember being like, I'm not like I'm following the emotion of it. I'm not. This is just, like this is getting dreamlike. I'm not sure. And then afterwards, I was like, so what did you get from that section? He was like, oh, it was entirely. Oh, right. Okay, so it's totally based in mythology. And then he just like in the theater, sitting right there while the credits were rolling, explained it to me, like that they swim until they find a boat, and then it's a man dressed all in black who ferries them across the waters to Elysian Fields.
Yep.
And the ferryman taking you across the river Styx to Elysian Fields, which would be Elysium, where like soldiers or heroes would be able to visit the afterlife as like a reward,
Hmm.
without being like tied to it.
Yep.
And so that like she winds up at a club called Elysian Fields, and that's where she meets the character who is implied is her mother that she's been searching for. It's like, oh, okay, oh boy, whoa, okay. But like again, it's not presented as she gets on the ferry through the river Styx and then goes to Elysium and meets the ghost of her mother and then returns to reality. It's presented as she swims through the flooded bayou, gets on a dinghy, and then is
Yep.
is sailed across to a strip club. Like it's still well fantastical, grounded in an upsetting reality.
Yeah. And
Um,
the way
yeah.
that it tackles the trauma is very interesting, because you see this innocence
Hmm.
and this purity of soul, and I love that it's shot like that, because it kind of shows you how would a child react to them dying. How
Yeah.
would they know that they died? And it's fascinating, the subject that brings up, and so many other brilliant films bring this up, and this one does it as well as any of those. And it kind of tackles it with metaphor, just like the child would understand
Hmm.
what death is through
Yeah.
metaphors only.
Right, yeah, she just gets the feeling of being held by her mother. She doesn't need to understand how it literally happened, and she doesn't come back and explain to everybody anything. It just occurred. She just felt it, and now she is stronger because of it. And that's yeah, no, yes, absolutely. Movie.
it's
Um,
it is extremely beautiful and extremely moving, for that matter.
yes.
And I what is your favorite scene out of this film so far?
Um, when after the storm, when he sits down and explains, he tells the story of her mother.
Hmm.
He sits down and he says, like he's drinking profusely because they're with their friends who like they're surprised and overjoyed to see have survived what is implied to be Katrina.
Yeah.
And uh, they're all drink together, and he it takes a sip and then looks at again this 5-year-old girl and says, have I ever told you the story of your conception? And you in the audience kind of chuckle and cringe, and you're like, oh man, guy, you've been drinking, don't go there. And instead he goes to a bedtime story, he it's just this like parable of your mother was beautiful, she saved me, we were together, we loved, we were so shy, we were so great. It's like it's so sweet and so simplistic and so tender.
Yep.
And then we go back to reality of we're in this sinking little shack and he's next to passed out and he's like, and 4 minutes later you came into existence, and you're like, oh yeah, oh man, like that was probably um the first, or at least on this watch, the first moment that got me kind of tearing up.
Yeah.
um was her, the we don't ever really get insight into what happened to her mother, and so the bits of, again, like bedtime story type information that are given to her and therefore us as seen through her eyes are really just heartbreaking and beautiful. So no, that's definitely on this watch the scene that really stood out and hit me. Um, and that guy, the man who plays her father,
Oh, dude, he does such a stupendous job in this film. There's something about it. His acting is so real and it's raw. It's like I can't believe he's acting.
yeah, okay, oh, dude, okay, have you read about him? Have you read the story about him?
No, 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 I have
He's
not.
not an actor.
Oh, what?
Yeah, the filmmakers, he when they were scouting locations in New Orleans, he ran a bakery, and they were there so many times, and they were like, I think you're perfect for this. And he's like, I'm not an actor. And they're like, no, we think you'd be perfect for this. And he's like, okay, but I have to keep running my bakery. And they're like, we will shoot around your bakery. And he was like, all right, then I'm in. And he's been in like 3 other movies since, and that's it. Like because he's a baker. He, he stayed true to his bakery. And like because again, after this watch, like I read up on him some more, and it's like he's proudly about to open a new location in Harlem this year. And I'm like, yeah, guy,
Yeah,
you're
right?
a successful baker, hell yeah. But yeah,
That is
no, dude,
awesome.
this was the first time that man has acted.
Wow. That's
Right.
incredible.
I
That
and
is really incredible.
so we have a baker, a random baker that they found, and a 5-year-old girl
Yeah.
carrying an entire movie, and it's so good.
That is a tribute to honestly both the acting that people just naturally have a talent for and
Right?
the portrayal of the script that was written by
Yeah,
this writer and the directing that the
yeah.
director actually made these people and gave the correct advice and gave them the
Mhm.
motivations for each of the scenes to portray these characters in such a way that it is truly phenomenal what this film does. And Hush Puppy is a force to be reckoned with.
Hush
She,
Puppy,
oh
he
my
is
god.
so resilient. Like she might, like, off the top of my head, I can't think of like a more strong character, like just pure strength, you know?
And I think I agree with you 100%. And I think honestly, like this is the motivation for people that no matter where you come from, no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing in life, it's all possible. Look at
Mhm.
what this girl goes through. Look at what she is able to do and able to come to do at the end
Right.
of this film. And the way that she grows in this film shows you the resilience of humanity in general and what we are capable of,
Hmm. Absolutely.
for better
Not,
or worse.
not to mention like how so much of what drives the scenes between the two of them, between Hush Puppy and her father, um, is that they both deeply love each other and are completely incapable of expressing it.
Yeah.
They have no idea how to communicate that to each other, and so they're doing everything that they can.
Which,
Like,
let's be real, guys. Like, guys are very bad about communicating, and
yes.
we could say that because we're guys, and we are well aware of it. If you're self-aware of it, you understand.
Mhm.
So this guy, he's the one that raised her. So
Yeah.
she has the same traits of communication and lack thereof from her father, and it's fascinating the way that
Yes.
comes across on the screen.
Yeah. So what do you think happened to Hush Puppy's mother? Do you think she? I mean, obviously, she is now in this Elysium of sort,
Yeah,
but
I
like,
think she died of an overdose, and
okay,
that's what he was. He was a drug addict, and so was she.
okay, I definitely get that because
And
I wasn't sure if she left or if she had OD'd or if she like I wasn't
I think she left,
okay,
but or one of two things: either she left or he went to the bayou to escape her
okay,
and escape that lifestyle.
hmm,
But that would explain why he doesn't have any money, why he
right,
avoids anything and shuns the real world
yeah, because yeah,
because
'cause
of that.
the only story that we're told is she swam away. That
Yeah.
she loved you too much that she couldn't handle it and she swam away and that's why she's gone. Um, but then like he does hold on to her stuff, but like he keeps it separate. Like it's very interesting. I was very curious about your read on that.
Yeah, that's honestly what I thought of it. I kind of every time I look at it, I see more and more, and
Mhm.
I kind of go a little bit deeper, or I change my point of view. So I have this point of view now, but the next time I watch it, I could probably change it. So
Yeah.
that's the great thing about these type of films, though, is that you're
Mhm.
able to make those changes and see completely different aspects of the film.
Yeah, it's more of an engaging watch than something that's like purely literal.
Yeah, exactly. So, Zach, to wrap up, do you have any closing remarks that you wanted to say? Anything that you wanted to bring up about this movie that we haven't discussed about?
Um, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Last because I'm trying to. I was like, okay, just pick one, Zach. Okay, so the last thought that I will throw out is that while we are still talking about the man whose name escapes me, who plays Hush Puppy's father, he was not nominated for an Oscar, and he hella should have been. Um,
Yeah, he should have.
I think that okay, the movie was up for like five things, so okay, we're fine. Like, choose your battles, be happy, but at the same time, we could have gotten one more. But no, my last thing that I'd want to discuss was do you know how the beasts were accomplished?
No, I do not actually.
Because it looked like obviously this is like a smaller scale movie. This is like an independent movie. This is all that, but they look so good.
Yeah, I thought they were real. I thought they were just
Yeah,
superimposed into
right.
the scenes and
But
stuff
like
like that. But they were real.
some puppetry or some CG or some sort of animatronic something. I don't know, but that one
Shit, it
really.
looked better than Okja, and that was a high budget
Yes,
film.
yes. That literally was what I was thinking. Was like how they they accomplish so much on like so many different levels with this movie. It is astonishing,
Yeah, seriously. And the
including
father's name is
technical.
Dwight Henry, by the way.
Dwight Henry,
Yeah.
you are an amazing person.
Yeah. I now that you said that about the bakery, now I'm gonna research him and post whatever I can about that bakery because that is phenomenal. That
Right. Like
he not
if you're
only
ever
like
down there, like go to that bakery. Like I want to.
I was actually down there like maybe less than 6 months ago, and I was like, oh man, I should have gone. I should have done that. That would have been amazing. If only I knew. Oh, that's crazy.
Do you
But
know, having been down there, Do you know if like the people of that area have embraced this movie?
Not at all. They don't talk about it. I actually talked, like, because we went there for 1.5 days.
Hmm.
And it was mostly like what I was doing was a hunting tour. So I went
Rad.
all the way up to Michigan. I did a road trip all the way up to Michigan and then
Nice.
down the Mississippi the whole way.
Nice, nice, nice.
And we pretty much the last place that we went was Louisiana. And when we went into New Orleans, we're like, oh, is there any places that they filmed Beasts of the Southern Wild? And everybody's like, what? Huh? And I was like, oh, why?
Yeah.
Why is this movie so underappreciated? Come on, guys. It was nominated for Oscars. You would have think it got a little bit more credit than that, but no, I guess not. But no, yeah, it's so under the radar for a lot of people, and that's
Yeah,
really horrible.
that's really unfortunate.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look into that. I'm really curious to see if like the people being represented in this do find this to be as authentic as it feels.
from what
Because
I've seen, article wise and all that stuff, yes, they say that yes, it is
okay,
pretty spot on.
because we've been
There's
saying a lot like, oh, this is so like genuine and real and stuff like that, and obviously this isn't portraying a community that we're a part of in any way. It's just it feels that genuine. You know, it's
exactly, and I mean, even if it isn't, it is a fantasy film
mhm,
at its core, and it's
true.
talking about topics that need to be brought up. So
Yes.
technically, even if it's not true to the society and the wills of those people that live in the bayou for real, then it's still giving representation in a
Well,
minor way.
exactly. And that's also probably, come to think of it, part of why they never specifically state time or location or anything.
Yeah.
They do keep it an ambiguous community near a levee. Like they don't
Well, they call it the bathtub, and
yeah.
there's a sign at the beginning that they run across that kind of tells you the name, and there's technically like there's a legit name that's nicknamed the bathtub, and it's a part of the bayou.
Okay,
So
so that is a real
that is
place.
a legit location.
That
Yeah,
is a legit. Okay, wow.
yeah,
I did
yeah,
not know that.
yeah. That's a
I was
legit
under the impression
location.
that the bathtub itself was just like almost an amalgamation of like
Like a myth in itself.
yeah
Yeah.
um
No, I did the research on it. I was like, huh, okay, this is actually real. This is
wow.
legit. Yeah,
Oh man, well now I'm even more curious.
right? Yeah.
God, what a beautiful movie.
Right. So Zach, overall, rating wise, between 1 to 10, what would you give this film?
Oh my God, 10.
10. I would give it about an 8.5, 9, bordering
Yeah.
9, just because I love this soundtrack. I love this
Oh my
movie.
God,
The
the score.
acting.
The director co-wrote the score.
Oh wow, I didn't catch that. Damn.
Ah, like I
Yeah.
yeah. I I can go back and look online, but I'm pretty sure I listed this as my favorite movie the year it came out.
Oh, probably. It
I'm
was in my top 5 for sure of that
yeah.
year. So I could definitely attest that it definitely deserved that credit for sure. So thank you, Zach, so much for
Oh,
joining us
thank
on this
you.
episode and
Oh,
wrapping up our Black
it has
History
been an
Month.
honor to be a nerd about this movie. Like no one else wants to talk with me about this movie. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So thank you guys honestly for joining us for this episode as well. Again, you could check out all of Zach's content through our Man Bites Film website. Just look on the special highlighted artist area. On that tab, you'll see Zach's information as well, since he's been on the show, and you'll be able to check out any of the content that he has through there. And we'll keep you updated on our Facebook page. Please subscribe or give us a rating, honest rating. I'm not going to ask you to give us 5s. Give us an honest rating of what you think of this podcast, what we could do, and comment. Give us the improvements that you think that we could actually make to make this a more relevant podcast, to capture your attention even further than it already is.
I
And
so appreciate that you didn't just say smash that like button.
yeah, right. Yeah, no. And honestly, subscribe to the channel if you actually did enjoy the content that we put out there. Check out our sister podcast with Diversely Geek, Doctor Who in a Review, and Man Bites Film. Every Friday we drop an episode. So we'll see you guys next week for another episode of Man Bites Retro.
Bye, buddy.